friends, welcome back to another October Daily Process video. Today we are working on story number 7, which is going to be a reflection on the new Hocus Pocus 2 movie. For my design prompt this time, if you have not watched any of my previous videos, every day I pull out a design prompt that helps me to figure out how I want to design the look of my layout. This time I pulled out the prompt of trims or ribbons. So I grabbed from my stash, these are actually 3 different lace trims from the, what was it called? A Little Scary collection from Fancy Pants. It always takes me a minute to think of their name, but Fancy Pants. It was the collection from last year. It came with 3 of those lace trims, a black, an orange, and a pink, which actually really went super well with the movie poster for Hocus Pocus 2. I thought what I could do is to actually use them to create a pocket to hold my story. So I printed off my journaling, my reflection of my thoughts on the movie and the experience of watching the movie with the family, printed that off on the lower 2/3 of a piece of plain white cardstock. Then at the top of that, I placed a backed cut file. I did not actually film any of me putting that cut file together just because it's very tedious, it takes a long time, but it is a cut file from Paige Evans, I believe maybe last year, maybe the 2021 or the 2020 Halloween cut files that she did as a package. It was definitely in one of those. I used the colors of the movie poster, which is what you see here on the screen right now, to help me decide what colors I wanted to back the file with, so it would marry well with the photo. Then the movie poster I pulled off of Google, just looked up Hocus Pocus movie poster, grabbed the one that I liked the best and printed that so it would fit into a pocket on my album is 5 1/4 by 8 inch canvas. So the photo itself is most likely printed at about 7.5 inches, so it's not all the way from top to bottom, and maybe 4 inches or 4.5 inches, giving me enough room to add my hole punches and add this into an album and still be able to pull the photo with the journaling on the back from the pocket that we're about to make. For my pocket, what I'm doing is layering up the black lace first on a piece of just clear acetate. I get the clear transparencies from Amazon. I have a giant pack of them, which is nice because I can use them to create dividers, or I can use them for things like this to create pockets or shaker pockets or all kinds of fun stuff where the transparency allows either what's on top of it or what's behind it to really shine. Using my sewing machine, I am stitching down the lace trim onto the plastic transparency. When stitching lace like this, I always recommend using a zigzag stitch because it's going to hold the lace on there a little bit better since lace in and of itself has a lot of holes in it. It's not a solid fabric. The zigzag is going to help you catch more of it when it's stitched down onto whatever surface you're putting it on. With the black on there first, next I'm going to layer the pink, putting it just slightly underneath the black so it has a layered look to it. There's not too much space in between the two of them. And then I'm going to go ahead and stitch this one on here too. I'm using gold thread, so regardless of the color of lace that I'm using, it doesn't matter, it's going to be fine. You can see the gold, and I actually kind of like that effect. If you're doing something like this and you don't want to use a thread that's going to be very visible, you can always switch out your thread to whatever the color of the lace is. So I could have used black for the top one and pink for the middle one, and then I'm about to pull out the bright orange color. I could have used orange for that one, but I figured it doesn't really matter that much, and gold kind of goes with the color scheme of Halloween and all that stuff anyway. So we're going to put the orange one on there last. You may or may not notice that the lace trims do not go all the way from the top to the bottom of the piece of transparency that I have, which is totally fine because once I have all of these lace pieces stitched onto the plastic, then I'm going to actually stitch this entire piece down onto a piece of plain, or no, it's not plain white. It was a pattern paper that was actually from the Halloween mini collection from Ali Edwards. So you'll see me right now, I'm going to actually add that on top of the pattern paper. But when I do so, I'm going to make sure that the orange is right at the bottom edge of the page because I want the pocket itself to just be the trims. I don't want any extra plastic or transparency to show. Here I'm showing you that you can actually put that piece in there either way. So once I have the pocket created, I can either have the movie poster showing or I can have the cut file with my journaling showing, and both look really awesome, which is also pretty cool. Before I stitch this down onto the pattern paper, I also want to make sure to add my number. For this one, I have the number 7. I believe that was from the Numbers scrapbooking kit from Ali Edwards, so something that's a little bit newer in my stash. I love the gold with the white trim or the white border around the outside. I think it pops off of this pocket and also brings in more of that gold color from the stitching. So it makes everything make a little bit more sense. Even though that's maybe not exactly what I had intended, it still works out pretty nice. Now that I've got the 7 on there, we're going to go ahead and stitch this down as the pocket itself. When I'm working with transparency, I try not to use any adhesive to put the transparency onto the background while I'm stitching it because the adhesive can really gum up your needle. So instead what I do is I grab a binder clip, just one of those alligator clips, and clip it to the paper so the transparency and the paper are smooshed together, and then I will go ahead and stitch a line and then remove the alligator clip and keep going. So it holds everything where it needs to be until it's stable enough that I don't need the aid of that clip anymore. So that's my biggest tip when it comes to stitching things on like vellum or transparency, where you're either going to see the adhesive or if you just want to avoid gumming up your machine if you can. Here I'm going to actually stitch a second line where the hole punches are going to go because I'm concerned that the original line that I stitched there, I'm concerned that the holes are going to cut through the string. So instead, I went ahead, I stitched another line maybe about a 1/2 inch away from the edge. So now when I punch the holes there, I don't have to worry about the pocket coming off. It's going to be totally fine. So here is the pocket. We'll stick that in. The last thing I wanted to do was add something onto the 7. It felt a little naked there. So I'm going to grab my tiny phrase stickers, find one that makes sense. I believe I actually find the one that says Hocus Pocus or something like that. Maybe it says like amuck, amuck, amuck. It's something Hocus Pocus-y. And I'm going to set that across the center of the 7, debate on a couple of other ones, but ultimately choose to go with the orange. I like the way that it ties in the orange from the cut file and from the lace at the bottom. I think it looks really nice. And then that's going to complete this portion of the page here, but I actually am also going to create an insert that will go between story number 7 and story number 8. When I was putting this together, I was actually working on both of these layouts in the same day. So I already knew that story number 8 was going to look visually pretty heavy. To help counter that, I thought that I could either add in maybe an old book page in between or potentially a transparency. And ultimately, I'm going to go with this transparency. It's an orange one that's got the crisscross lines from the Evenings story kit from Ali Edwards, so an older one here. Here's a sneak peek of what you're going to see coming up next, the grid layout there. So you can see that it is quite heavy when you pair those two pages together. So with the transparency in between, I've got this lighter kind of delicate pattern on the transparency itself, and then I pulled out 2 of the tag flag. They're like banner looking tags that were included in the Halloween mini kit from Ali Edwards. This orange one says something wicked this way comes. And then the black one, I don't remember what the black one says, but I like that they are the exact same size. So I can put one on the front, one on the back of this transparency, and it literally is just a piece that helps bridge or helps this create a point of separation in between these two really busy layouts. I think it helps, especially having the tag, flag, banner, whatever you want to call it, shape over the center of those grids. And then that, friends, is going to be it for today's story. I hope you enjoyed seeing how this one came together. I definitely loved working with all of these colors and texture, and I can't wait to continue sharing more of these stories with you. If you did enjoy this video, I would love a thumbs up on the video down below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this one in the future. I will be back soon with story number, we're on what, story number 8 with the grid one that you got the sneak peek of there. I'll be back with that one soon. Until then, have a great rest of your day, friends. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.